You can cook it at your home.
Now,
Both
just Jasname, can I interrupt you for a minute?
yes,
The
sure.
the gremlins have been dealt with, so I'm going to introduce the program again and pass it over to you. And if you could start this story again from the beginning, that would be wonderful because it is now going out on Facebook. I'm sorry to do this to you, Jasname. Right.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, assembled company, welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe. And it is Tuesday, so it is International Young Tellers, or in this case, International Young Teller. So we have our star, Jasname from Punjab. Jasname, over to you. Can you tell us a story?
Thank you, John. Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Jasname, and I'm from India, Punjab. Today, I have a folk tale from Kerala, which is the southernmost state of India. In the South Indian states, there's a dish famous known as dosas, which is a kind of flatbread. And this story is about that dish. While the name of my story is The Dosa and the Demon, there was a poor couple in Kerala. The man used to work at a job, but soon he left his job. His job was of making vessels and earthen pots. After he left his job, he was left with no money. What he had in his small house was just vessels everywhere. The poor couple used to beg at the street every day, thinking they would get something from one person or the other every day. And that's how they survived. One day they got red chili powder, which they stored in one vessel. The other day they got some money, which they stored again. And so on, they kept on storing things. One day a very kind lady offered them the batter of dosa. The couple was very happy. They were so overwhelmed that they decided to cook it as soon as they reached home. They took the batter and thanked the lady for it. They took the batter and went home. When they went home, what they noticed was they had nothing to cook the food on. They could not cook dosas because they did not have firewood. What they had in their house was just vessels, vessels, and vessels. So the man told his wife, I'm going out in the forest to get some firewood. Till then, you can get ready with other stuff. While women agreed. That man left to the jungle. He was so overwhelmed that he kept on singing on his way. On his way to the jungle, he met many people and treated them very happily. As soon as he entered the forest and was about to cut a firewood, he heard footsteps. There were loud, thudding footsteps which were approaching to him. He was scared and wished that it wasn't the hungry demon again coming to him. He had only heard tales about that hungry demon, and what he heard was that demon always needed food, and if he was not provided with food, he would eat the person. That man started to pray, and when he opened his eyes, he saw that hungry demon, and he removed the firewood from his hands. When he saw the demon, he said to the demon, I'll give you whatever you want, but just please leave me. I'm taking these firewoods to my wife to cook dosa. That demon thought for a while. I'll leave you on one condition if you give me dosas too. Well, that man said, This is a good deal. I'll agree with it. And he said, Sure, sure. You can come to my house within an hour. So he did. He took the firewood and went to his house, and that demon was on his way. As he entered his house, his wife was ready with everything. They lit up the firewood and they started making those. That hungry man started eating it. He ate one, he ate the second, he ate the third, he ate the fourth, and soon he finished all of them and didn't realize that there was a demon waiting for the dosas even. Well, that man was scared. After eating and filling his stomach, he remembered that he had to serve them to the demon, and he could hear the footsteps of the demon approaching. They both hid in the vessels. He told his wife, "We have so many vessels, we can just hide in them. The demon is so big that he won't be able to peek in them." And so they did. They hid in the vessels. And when the demon approached, he knocked the door. He noticed that there was no answer, and he grew very angry. He banged the door and opened it. When he saw, what he saw was just firewood burning, vessel here, vessel there, and everywhere vessel. He tried to break 2, 3 vessels, but what he found was nothing. While that man and his wife were quiet. And when he was trying to break another vessel, what popped up into his eyes were red chili powder, and his eyes started to burn. And so he ran away to the forest again. While this story tells us that if we can't keep promises, we should not make them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasname. Yeah, that was wonderful. Now, do you happen to have a second story or a poem for us? Because it's your show tonight, by accident. Have you got anything you could do for us?
I have a story.
Well, because you guessed I was going to tell you, I was going to ask you this because you are a genius. So could you do us another story, please? I love
Yes.
that story. I love that story. And it was undoubtedly the man's wife who engineered the chili powder because men aren't as quite as clever as that. They just eat everything and fail miserably to think of the consequences. So, so that I'm generalizing, of course. Babasi would think of the consequences. He wouldn't do anything about it, but he would think of the consequences. um, and Norman, of course, has great wisdom, so he wouldn't have got in that problem in the first place. So, anyway, tell us another story, Jasname. Over to you.
So the name of my second story is Kangar Bun, a flower of God. So this story is a folk tale from Tripura. Kangarban was a flower which is grown in the forest of Tripura, and it is said to be the flower of God. That flower has a beautiful scent, but is only grown for God. There was a man named Dhananjay, and he had his beautiful wife. Her wife was always very happy and cheerful. She liked flowers. She liked flowers putting on her hair. She loved that thing. That man had a farm, and each day he used to go to the market and sell fresh vegetables. This was his daily routine. One day his wife decided to go with him, and so they did. They plucked vegetables from their farm and went to the market. They went to the market, but before reaching the market, they had to cross a forest. They crossed it while going to the market. They sold their vegetables, and it was about to be dusk. So his Dhananjay told his wife, "We should return early. It will get sunset, and we won't be able to cross that lush forest." His wife agreed. They were on the way to the forest. As they entered the forest, the wife smelled beautiful fragrance of a flower. She said, "I want this flower at any cost. I want to put it on my hair. That's the thing I asked from you." Well, that Dhananjay replied, "This flower scent come from Kangarban. It is a flower of God. It is only grown for God. And it is said that if anyone plucks it, he or she will turn into an animal. And if anyone puts it in his hair, he or she will turn into a monkey." Her wife did not agree to this myth, and she said, "I don't believe in such things. What I want is that flower. It smells so beautiful. I just need it." Dhananjay tried to convince his wife, but she did not listen. She had one thing, which was of getting the flower. At last he had to agree. He went to that flower and plucked it. He gave it to his wife, and his wife put it on his hair. As soon as she put it on her hair, that man Dhananjay turned into a wild fox. His wife was shocked and realized her mistake. She just removed the flower and threw it away. Well, as she did that, she also turned into a monkey because at the end, that myth wasn't a myth, it was a true story. And from that day onwards, seeing the sad story of this couple, God removed the beautiful scent of that flower. That is why it is rightly said, there is no greater calamity than greed. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesname. And before you go, because I know you have to go to bed soon because you've got school tomorrow, I'll ask Norman and Baba C to just give a quick line about your stories. So, Norman, you first.
Hey,
And you're
thank you, John. Jasname, your connection to the stories that you tell is gets better all the time. Just like and I really do look forward to seeing both or listening to both stories again after this. And one thing though that and the only reason why I say this is because I'm speaking as your storyteller who's of some experience, is that you might want to play with the idea of telling a little more slowly. Your words are very clear, and they're very, and the story is very, very nice. But so that's about the two things that I can say to you right now. I enjoyed it and look forward to hearing you again.
Thank you.
Baba C, would you like to express
Yes.
an opinion?
Well, not an opinion, but my insights. But I have to disagree with Norman. But perhaps that's because I'm a fast speaker myself. I love the natural cadence, musicality of your voice. And sometimes when one talks rapidly, it encourages one's audience to listen carefully. When I was growing up, I often heard the expression, well, you know, he or she is an old soul. And the more I listen to your stories, the more I'm convinced that you are an old soul because you tell stories that are full of lessons and wisdoms that are beyond your 14 years. That is meant as a compliment. I love the lessons and the insight that your stories provide us. So the only thing I really have to say is don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Thank you once again for a very insightful, very entertaining, very, 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 very wonderful series of stories.
Well, thank you, Baba C. And Jasname, all I can add to that is that I'm always impressed of the breadth of knowledge you have of stories from other areas of India. I mean, for those thinking, you know, the sort of geographical distance between Punjab and Kerala is, you know, in European terms, is almost the breadth of a continent. And to have that knowledge of the culture of your whole country is amazing. So thank you for joining us as always. That just leaves me to announce what's coming up next week or later this week. David Heath, thank you, Jasname. We'll all say good night to you now, Jasname, because I know you'll go to bed. But there's because it's very late in India, and she stays up especially on Tuesday nights so she can join us. So thank you for that, Jasname. And
thank you.
So and who's on Friday? Well, we've got David Heathfield on Friday, and he's going to be telling stories for children, but he's also going to be telling stories. But the stories he'll be telling are the stories that he's been given from children, specifically the stories from the children of Gaza. So he's telling stories that he's learned from children of Gaza, not necessarily on the World Story, some on the World Storytelling Cafe, but also from his own work with teachers there. So I'm looking forward to that. Then on, then of course we've got on the following Tuesday we've got our International Young Tellers, and the following Friday we've got Deborah Weller being Mrs. Claus at Stories for Children. So that'll be fantastic. And then on that Sunday we've got our worldwide story round, but that'll all come up in the schedule that's being done. So so as soon as that's up, you'll be able to do that. And I've got to add to that schedule because I haven't told, I forgot to mention the worldwide story round on that schedule, so I'm adding that. So that'll all be good. Meanwhile, thank you for attending. Thank you, especially Norman and Babasi, who always come to support our young tellers, whoever may be on. Thank you both from across the Atlantic. So from me in North Africa to you in North America, thank you. And good afternoon or good night or good morning, depending wherever you are in this big, wide world. And may the stories continue forever.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
May the tell be with you.
Bye.